Prithween Walia, there's lots lined up this morning. We'll talk about the LPG crisis at hand here in India, how the government repeatedly sending out a message not to panic buy, not to hoard. We'll take you through data, why you need not worry, that and much more coming up. First up, a quick check of the top headlines. First on the Breakfast Club, we will talk about the concerns of common man. Amid rising LPG prices and concerns over supply, the government says there's no nationwide shortage of cylinders. The Petroleum Minister also says production has been ramped up by 28%. Steps are being taken to prevent hoarding and panic bookings. We're seeing nationwide crackdown, a lot of arrests take place as well. All this being done to ensure LPG supply continues smoothly for over 33 crore households across India.
Next, we'll also talk about India's LPG supply getting a boost as two Indian carriers, we're talking about the Shivalik and the Nanda Devi, which safely crossed the strategic Strait of Hormuz, together carrying over 92,000 metric tons of LPG. The ships are headed to Mundra Port and Kandla Port in Gujarat.
And of course, Oscars 2026, Priyanka Chopra turns heads at the 98th Academy Awards. We'll take you through the star-studded lineup of presenters. We'll also talk about who won the Oscar for Best Actor in Supporting Role, what more, everything that you've missed out possibly early this morning. First up, we are going to be discussing one conversation that's taking place in every household, something that's on everyone's mind. Will I get my LPG cylinder if I book it today? Will the LPG supply exhaust in India? And what should we do in case that happens? LPG cylinder prices, remember, have been revised across the country, with the 14.2 kg domestic cylinder becoming costlier by 60 rupees in several major cities. As you see on your screens as well, in Mumbai, an LPG cylinder now costs 912.5 rupees. In Chennai, 928.5 rupees. Again, in New Delhi, 913, a little less than the price in Mumbai, for instance. In Bengaluru, very close to prices in Delhi at 915.5 rupees. In Kolkata, 939 rupees. So that's the kind of shift essentially we've seen. About 60 rupee increase largely in different parts of the country.
And as we've been discussing, Prithween, what's happening in West Asia, we're feeling the pinch back at home as well. The hike has naturally raised concerns, both among households and among restaurants and hotels that rely heavily on commercial LPG for their daily operations. But the government says that there's no reason to worry about LPG availability. Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri told Parliament that India's LPG supply, it remains stable, and that the government is taking several steps to ensure kitchens across the country continue running without disruption.
According to the government, there is no nationwide shortage of LPG as of today. Some areas may see slightly slow deliveries because of a sudden surge in bookings, but that's largely being driven by anxiety and panic booking rather than an actual supply crisis. In fact, production has been stepped up by 28%. The government says the priority remains clear. Kitchens of over 33 crore Indian families must not face shortages. To prevent hoarding and diversion, new safeguards are being introduced. The booking gap, for instance, between cylinders has been increased. 25 days in urban areas, 45 days in rural regions. And delivery authentication using a one-time code is also being expanded to prevent misuse.
At the same time, the government is activating alternate fuel options to reduce the pressure on LPG demand. But beyond the government's reassurances, the larger message for consumers is simple. Avoid panic buying. When people rush to book multiple cylinders or stockpile fuel, it can create this artificial shortage even when supplies are adequate. We're being joined by Sriram Monga, co-founder of SRRD. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Very good morning to you, of course. Let's start by talking about this artificial shortage that appears to be a concern as a result of the panic that we're seeing among the people. What's your assessment of where things stand right now?
So I think you're on mute. If you could please unmute yourself.
Good morning. A 21-mile waterway would decide what's going to get cooked in India tonight and what doesn't. The Indian food service ecosystem is around 5.7 trillion rupees, which employs about 8 million people. and it is right now in a state of crisis, as there has been news from major parts of the country that the LPG supply is currently disrupted. And when we look at this situation, one cylinder, two cylinders, five cylinders, I mean the days which is going to pass in the wartime is going to just create the state of panic up and to the operators and people who are running these establishments. The government is taking all measures, and the Prime Minister has personally assured that the supply of LPG would not get disrupted. However, this panic situation is creating uh, a, n- a type of a situation in the operators' ecosystem, that how would they run this wafer thin margin business. Secondly, the organized sector is also looking at alternate fuels to ramp up uh, their operations. But the worst hit is the micro eateries and the roadside establishments, which is a large part of the ecosystem, and and where they don't have any other option to just shut their shops.
A large part of the problem, Mr. Monga, is being seen in different parts of the country already, because a lot of people have started panic buying and hoarding, and that's what the government is warning against. So, for instance, at the moment, currently, if you're in need of not more than 2 LPG cylinders, why are you booking or paying extra to, let's say, have 5 under your roof?
Not to mention what a hazard it poses.
Yeah, and it poses a hazard definitely in terms of supply chain, but also in terms of, let's say, for instance, rural regions. It's people who cannot afford 5 LPGs, possibly not being able to even buy one. That's what it's come down to, and that's why these reminders are very important, Mr. Monga. We'll talk about the reality check on ground. But do you think the interventions so far we've seen from the government, be it the Essential Commodities Act being invoked, be it these strict directives of how households must not at the moment book more than 2 LPG cylinders, the government also pushing for PNG, for instance, in households. The NRA has come out with a set of instructions, the National Restaurant Association of India, on what hotels must essentially do in the interim. Do you think we're on the right track largely?
I think the government is ensuring by giving all these advisories to remain afloat and not to panic, because right now it's more like a disciplinary issue which needs to be worked around. In case if we go by the rules and regulations which the government is been proposing, and avoid any type of panic situation or thinking that the next cylinder will not come to the kitchen, it is a situation which has a certain level of discomfort in the consumer's mind. But at the same time, we need to be more resilient about this situation and make sure that what the government advisories are coming to follow the rules, and in this state of panic situation which has been created by one war which has shaken the livelihoods of this country.
And consumer psychology plays a huge role in energy markets, and that's the larger message I think we're trying to highlight today, viewers. You need to be fully aware of every additional cylinder that you're booking, because someone else might be losing on one as we speak, and as you make that one move. We'll come back to you, Mr. Monga. Right now, we want to do a quick reality check. Our colleague on ground, Anvit, carried out a sting operation. Here's what the reality looks like, is why we all need to be more aware and cautious when we're going ahead, giving into the news that's kind of shaken the entire country. But yes, do think about your decisions twice, and here's why. Take a look.
में तो एक जगह बोला 35 को मांग रहा।
कहाँ पे? हमको दिलवा दे। हमको दिलवा दे।
देखना पड़ेगा।
कहाँ है?
तो 10 किलो है।
नहीं यार। फोन पे बात नहीं। कंफर्म करे तो हम चले जाएं।
किसी ने भेजा है वो।
क्योंकि हमारा ये सिस्टम है ना, हम 3-4 लड़के रहते हैं। हमको 4000 पड़ेगा तो हमको 1000 रुपये पड़ेगा, और हम लोग खाली एक टाइम खाना बनता है, तो हमारा चल जाएगा 6 आदमी। हमको वो भी ठीक पड़ेगा।
नंबर ले लो ना।
आपका
नंबर ले लो ना, फोन करके पता कर लेना। पहले मैं तो जा रहा हूँ, ऑफिस के लिए निकला हूँ कि KYC कराने।
अच्छा,
तो वहाँ जाके।
अरे तो आप नहीं, तो उसका नंबर नहीं है?
नहीं, उसका नंबर नहीं है, घर पता है मुझे।
अच्छा, घर कहाँ है?
छतरी में रहता है।
तो भरेगा या दिलवाएगा?
अब वो इसी एजेंसी में तो काम करता है,
तो आज दिलवा देगा?
तो ये नहीं गारंटी सर कि आज दिलवाएगा कि कल दिलवाएगा।
अच्छा,
पहले जब मेरा भी तो जो आज हो जाएगा।
नहीं तो उससे फोन पे तो बात हुई होगी आपकी?
फोन से नहीं हुआ, घर पता है, घर पे जा रहा हूँ।
अभी जा रहे हैं? तो आइए चले।
मैं अभी काम भी है मुझे, कहीं इधर उधर भी
अरे ये ज्यादा जरूरी काम है, पहले इसको निपटा लीजिए।
और भी काम है और जगह जाना है। आप मेरा नंबर ले लो, फिर मैं भेज दूंगा उनके पास, नंबर दे दूंगा आपको, नंबर लेकर।
बताइए
तो कनेक्शन है।
अगर ये हमको मतलब देगा, जैसे मान लीजिए ब्लैक में देता है, कितने तक में दे देगा?
तो ले लेगा 3500 के आसपास लेगा, उससे कम तो देगा नहीं अभी चल रहा।
3500?
All right, Mr. Monga, let me come back to you. So that's the reality on ground. We are seeing this uptick in black market activity as well. That was the fear to begin with, which is why these sweeping measures were brought in as well. And this inter-buying period was also introduced, 25, 45 days that we're seeing right now. That being said, there is also a focus now on looking at the alternatives. As you mentioned, we're talking about this narrow strip that is pretty much deciding what's happening not just in West Asia but even beyond. In Asia, we're feeling the pinch. Across the globe, prices have shot up as well. So that really brings into focus the vulnerabilities of the current supply chain system as well.
Absolutely. This situation of crisis has, exposed that how the kitchens of this country are vulnerable and dependent on one supply line, which is right now as a situation which has created a large scale disruption in the households and in the complete region. Until and unless the Strait of Hormuz situation does not get back to normal, it normalizes. It's not going to, this kind of situation will remain in the country and other parts of the world as well. So, it's more right now as a situation of, again, I'm reiterating that it is something which is needed to be do with more patience and discipline. Otherwise, these kind of situations will even make the current situation worse, and more panic will come into the livelihoods of the citizens of the country.
As far as the hotel industry is concerned, Mr. Monga, have you had any interaction so far? So hoteliers, restaurant owners, have they already reached out with some sort of feedback on what their first-hand experience today is looking like? Because we've been breaking down reports and details on how, for instance, quick service restaurants are not likely to face the heat or feel the pinch. What about the other categories? What's your analysis there?
So, wherever there is a pipe gas supply currently, there is a certain assurance from the distribution company that there is, there is going to be a stable supply of PNG gas. However, there has been advisories which have been gone out where there is a cut in supply of the volume of the gas which was coming before. Wherever the dependency is on LPG commercial cylinders, there is a certain situation where the availability of these cylinders are becoming scarce, and as the day passes. So
But
technically,
again,
a
I think
QSR.
that's also happening because people are going for additional cylinders. They're booking or rather buying, paying up extra, buying additional cylinders, but they're not really in need. And that's, I think, also creating a big problem at the moment because the government officially at least maintains that there's no shortage on the face of it so far. So I think it's a cycle that we've entered which we need to kind of break out of, and that's why it's a challenging time overall for the nation because of what's happening in West Asia. Mr. Monga, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a story we'll continuously track here on The Breakfast Club as well. But there's good news. At the end of the day, today we're awaiting for visuals that everyone is eagerly watching out for.
Right, absolutely. So we're going to be looking at that as well, and that's supposed to ease some supply worries for India as well. And as we've been focusing on this as well, we're at this point looking at this artificial shortage, and that's mainly we keep focusing on this again and again. Take what you need and as you regularly would, and the consumption patterns which need to change, which is of course a result of the panic that we're seeing. That being said, India's LPG supply has got a boost as Christine mentioned, with two Indian LPG carriers, the Shivalik and Nanda Devi, safely crossing the strategic Strait of Hormuz. This, of course, amid the rising tensions in the region. The vessels were among several Indian ships that had been waiting onto the western side of the strait after the conflict disrupted normal maritime movement.
Together, the two ships are carrying about 92,000 metric tons of LPG to India. Shivalik, loaded with about 46,000 metric tons, is expected to reach Mundra port today itself. In the meanwhile, Nanda Devi, carrying a similar quantity of LPG, is scheduled to arrive at Kandla port the following day. And these are conversations that have taken place between the top leadership of Iran and India. In fact, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also broke down some of the details on how this is not a concession that India enjoys largely when it comes to all the vessels that are to pass the Strait of Hormuz. It's going to be taken up case-to-case basis.
Right. And the Indian government has been closely coordinating with the countries in the Gulf region to ensure the safe movement of the Indian vessels through this narrow but very, very crucial shipping route. While these two ships have successfully crossed, 22 other vessels are still waiting on standby on the western side of the strait. That's, of course, all dependent on the clearances to proceed safely.
Okay, with that, let's talk about what we were discussing just a short while ago. What is it that the LPG crisis means for different sectors in the country? So to begin with, today we're going to keep our focus on the hotel industry. Udupi Krishna, and he has an interesting ground report. This is Udupi Krishna Bhavan. It's an iconic eatery in Bengaluru, which once ran on electric ovens before switching to LPG decades ago. They're now moving back to electric cooking. They're installing induction stoves to keep meals going.
To conserve fuel supplies, the restaurant has reduced operating hours. It's added extra induction units to meet customer demand, and our colleague Rohini Swami brings us that report.
Well, started in 1926, we are at the iconic Udupi Krishna Bhavan here in Bengaluru's heart. It is called Chikpete, where what goes off the shelves is hot masala dosas, which is something that is extremely famous. Now, they have moved to induction themselves because the entire LPG crisis that is being seen is definitely bringing a crunch amongst people and coming out with various ways. But let me also tell you that induction is not new to this place. They have used this earlier as well, but they had to move to gas because that helps in cooking. But a lot of hotels now have to turn innovative, or they have to change their timings, reduce their menu, or some of them, because they're unable to get their cylinders on time, are even shutting down. I'm joined by Mr. Subramania Holla. He's also the owner, but also he is the president of the Bangalore Hotels Association. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us. If I may ask you, now that we've seen the war still continues, the crunch of LPG scene where hotels are shutting down in Bangalore now. Initially it was, you told me, I remember saying, you will continue till the last drop. But a lot of them have drained out. You are using induction, but what about the others?
I think most of them have come up with something new, and I was very surprised. We had a meeting with the Karnataka Association yesterday, and I was very astonished and surprised. In most part of Karnataka, they have come with firewood and wood-fired stoves.
So a lot of things that we're also seeing, like you said, a lot of wood fire. Some of them are also introducing tandoori items because tandoor is something that can be used a lot more. Innovation is being done.
Yeah.
But how long do you think we can tide this crisis?
It's always good. See, when COVID came, we realized a lot of people started cooking at home. You must have noticed that. So they started YouTubing and looking at recipes and this. Then they realized we can also start a restaurant. In the last 5-6 years, that has happened. Guys I don't know who don't even know about restaurants have started restaurants. Like that, this may give some birth to something new. So let us wait and see how it behaves. I'm very positive about it.
And keeping our focus on that, with the conflict in West Asia disrupting the supply chains, commercial establishments across India are, of course, seeing a shift. Under restrictions linked to Essential Commodities Acts, restaurants and hotels say their LPG supplies have been curtailed by up to 80%.
At a premier food outlet in Connaught Place, the change is already visible inside the kitchen. Induction stoves have replaced gas burners already, with nearly 100% of cooking now being done electrically. Chefs say the transition is challenging but also necessary, allowing them to keep the kitchen running and continue serving customers. Our colleague Simran Babbar gets us this ground report. Take a look.
Right now, in most outlets across the national capital, where many restaurants had declared that they might shut down because of the unavailability, induction stoves have been put in use. Right now, what we see is a very huge deployment of the induction stoves across the kitchen, be it here at this counter table where one of the chefs do prepare the most delicious recipes, or be it here where the other section is being prepared for the other delicacies. Right now, let's also understand how exactly the difference has been made. Joining me is one of the chefs here. सर, इंडक्शन का बहुत यूज़ हो गया है. अब आप जैसे देख पा रहे हैं, हम किचन में जो कमर्शियल एलपीजी है उसको रिप्लेस कर चुका है इंडक्शन. क्या डिफरेंस आया है कुकिंग मटेरियल में, और लोगों को ये भी लगता है कि अब शायद टेस्ट डिफरेंट होगा?
टेस्ट डिफरेंट तो नहीं होगा मैम, बट एक्चुअली जो गैस में खाना बनता था, जैसे एक टाइमली बन जाता है, इसमें थोड़ा सा खाने में बनाने में दिक्कत आ रही है. जैसे डीलर और गेस्टों के बाद थोड़ा लेट पहुंच रहा है खाना, तो एलपीजी इज़ बेटर.
बट ये टेम्पररी बेसिस पे जिस तरीके से डिमांड आ रही थी, और काफ़ी सारे ऐसे आउटलेट्स हैं जिन्होंने शट भी कर दिया, जो सिंगल स्टॉल्स हैं, जो बड़ी लेगेसी चेन्स हैं, बट डिमांड को मीट करने के लिए एक ऐसा अल्टरनेटिव है.
अच्छा अल्टरनेटिव है मैम. एक्चुअली हमारे मेन्यू में से कुछ आइटम है हमको हटाना पड़ा, जिसे हम इसमें सब नहीं कर सकते. जैसे डिमसिम हो गया, डिमसिम के लिए हमारे पास
बट जिस तरीके से मोस्टली इलेक्ट्रिक अल्टरनेटिव है.
यस मैम.
तो इससे और भी थोड़ा टाइम लगता है और इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ज़्यादा कंज्यूम होती है.
जी मैम.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And as the chef himself says that the cooking time is increasing as most of the delicacies and most of the items that are on the menu required high level of temperature that was only being prepared or met using the commercial LPG in the restaurants. Given the demand that has been surging high and the shortage that has hit the homes and many businesses, this is the alternative which has been now incentivized as the best available options in the market for the people and the entrepreneurs and the businesses at large to meet the crisis that they have back home due to the war in West Asia.
Speaking of the war in West Asia, let's briefly shift our attention to the other side of the story, which is the humanitarian cost, which is also being looked at very closely. The United Nations has launched a $308 million emergency appeal to help Lebanon cope with the war that has displaced over 800,000 people already.
Aid agencies warning that funding shortages are already forcing a rationing, even as fighting between Hezbollah and Israel escalates and humanitarian needs continue to rise. Take a look.
The United Nations launched a $308 million flash appeal on Friday to help Lebanon cope with the fallout of a war that has forced more than a seventh of its population from their homes. More than 800,000 people have been displaced as Israel orders them to leave ever larger swaths of Lebanon. Aid organizations say funding constraints have already forced them to ration supplies and that they'll need much more money. Here's Carl Scow, the World Food Programme's Deputy Executive Director.
So we're only targeting those who are really, on the verge of starvation or in starvation. There isn't any more margin. And so with needs going up, resources will have to come up, and they can certainly not drop.
Israel launched an offensive against Hezbollah last week after the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group opened fire on it March 2nd, saying it was avenging the killing of Iran's supreme leader. Hezbollah has kept up daily rocket and drone attacks, while Israel has expanded its ground operations and airstrikes. Nearly 700 people have been killed. Lebanon was pummeled by a 2019 economic collapse, the 2020 Beirut port explosion, and the 2024 war between Hezbollah and Israel. Now, humanitarian organizations say global crises have restricted their response to the latest war. The UN's refugee agency said in September it had only received 25% of the resources required for Lebanon last year, forcing it to slash cash assistance programs. Scow said the spike in global energy prices triggered by the Iran war could further constrain donors.
All right, let's shift our focus now. The 98th Academy Awards are underway at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles, California, with the host Conan O'Brien championing the film as an international unifier.
Let's talk about the big winners as well. Among the big winners of the night, Sean Penn took home the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in one battle after another, marking the third Academy Award of his career. The political thriller also picked up multiple honours, including Best Adapted Screenplay for writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson.
Now, in the acting categories, Amy Madigan won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Weapons. Meanwhile, K-pop Demon Hunters emerged as the Best Animated Feature winner.
The red carpet also delivered its share of glamour, with Priyanka Chopra Jonas turning heads in a custom white gown by Dior as she arrived with husband Nick Jonas ahead of her presenting duties. This marks Priyanka's third time presenting at the Oscars after her earlier appearances in 2016 and 2021. I do want to bring in Vishal Chatkara into the conversation this morning. It's been an early morning for everyone who was watching the awards ceremony go underway. Vishal, over to you for the latest. A quick sum up really of everything that stole the show a couple of hours ago.
So before that, I just want to talk about the moment Priyanka Chopra had on the red carpet. She and her husband Nick Jonas had a scary moment. The couple was being rushed to the venue in a golf cart when it suddenly lost the balance and nearly tripped over. The incident, of course, was caught on video and quickly went viral. Thankfully, both stars were safe and were unharmed. Priyanka presented the Oscar for the Best International Feature that went to sentimental value. It was a moment during that the ceremony became political. Javier Bardem reflected his political views. He said on the stage, "Say no to war and free Palestine." Oscar stage historically has been the platform where actors have reflected their political views, from Marlon Brando refusing to accept the Oscar in 1973, and then actors criticizing Iraq war. So this year, Oscar is almost like you mentioned the big winner. Most of them were as predicted. There's no big surprises. Although Sean Penn bagged 2 Oscars, that was historical. So as K-pop Demon Hunter, the film bagged 2 Oscars, and the best song went to. It was the first K-pop song, Golden, that won an Oscar.
Right, let's also talk about the other big win here. It's Autumn Durald Arkapaw for Sinners, who's the first woman in history to win the Best Cinematography at the Oscars. So that's a big moment from the night as well.
Well, this year Oscars made history by announcing first ever casting Oscar for one battle for another. Then the Best Cinematography Oscar went to Autumn Durald Arkapaw to become the first woman and the first woman of color to bag an Oscar in the Best Cinematography category. Then it's the song Golden, which became the first K-pop song that won an Oscar. Paul Thomas Anderson also bagged 2 Oscars, first for the Best Adapted Screenplay and then for Best Director. And there were no guesses when it comes to the major category, like Best Actor went to Michael B. Jordan for Sinner, and Jessie Buckley bagged the Oscar for the Best Actress. And the Best Picture, as expected, went to one battle after another. And it's quite surprising, although Sinners bagged the maximum nominations, 16 nominations it got, but it did not actually translate into big wins for the film.
Okay, Vishal, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. We'll keep tracking much more that's coming from the awards ceremony, and we'll keep up with those splendid visuals. But here's what Vishal was talking about just moments ago, and we lead out with those visuals. In fact, there you see Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra, but what happened next is something that the internet's really obsessing over.
Right, so these are the visuals that were playing out for you. So it was Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra, a bit of a tense moment before arriving for the Academy Awards at the Dolby Theatre. It's their usual Sprinter van, which was stopped, were given to understand, at a security checkpoint. It forced the event staff to quickly arrange a golf cart to get them to the red carpet.
So as the staff rushed them through the venue area, the golf cart accelerated quickly, took a sharp turn, and that moment has been caught and captured in these visuals as well. The sudden movement caused the vehicle to rock violently, and one wheel briefly lifted off the ground. Nick and Priyanka held on tightly. The cart nearly tipped over, but it's something that's caught the attention of everyone who's filming, all of Oscars 2026. We leave you with those visuals. Thanks for staying tuned. We head into a very quick break. We'll be right back with more on the other side.
Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion. While Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगलियां चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी पर कोई सवाल न खड़ा करे।
With that, we go into a very short break. News and updates and everything that you want to know about these 5-state electoral battle, all of it here on CNN News 18. Stay tuned. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion. While Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगलियां चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी पर कोई सवाल न खड़ा करे।
With that, we go into a very short break. News and updates and everything that you want to know about these 5-state electoral battle, all of it here on CNN News 18. Stay tuned. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion. While Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगलियां चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी पर कोई सवाल न खड़ा करे।
With that, we go into a very short break. News and updates and everything that you want to know about these 5-state electoral battle, all of it here on CNN News 18. Stay tuned. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion. While Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Here's the latest that we're tracking for you right now. In a major diplomatic win, India's crude tanker Jag Ladki has safely sailed out of the UAE's Fujairah port after Saturday's attack, carrying nearly 80,800 tons of crude bound for India. This marks the fourth Indian-flagged vessel to escape the war zone unharmed.
This movement of the Indian crude tanker also comes after Iran reportedly assured safe passage for Indian ships and tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Furthermore, Iran, remembers, called on evacuation from UAE's port areas. As it stated, it will target some of these areas. The development also comes after Iranian Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi announced that the key oil passage, which is the Strait of Hormuz, will remain blocked for US and Israeli ships amid the ongoing war. Those warnings have been sent out to US allies as well in the region, but we've seen a lot of diplomatic breakthroughs as far as India and Iran are concerned, at least in providing safe passage to some of these vessels, help them transit the Strait of Hormuz. There's also more breaking news coming in. Let's shift our focus to the latest coming in from President Donald Trump. He says NATO faces a very bad future if US allies fail to help open the Strait of Hormuz, the critical oil transport conduit effectively shut by Iran in the Middle East war. So that's President Donald Trump saying NATO faces a bad future if the allies don't help. He's already, remember, appealed to the world, to not just US allies, to all of the world, that they must ensure that vessels are allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, very recently, he'd also dared the ships that are currently docked in nearby ports that are not passing through the Strait of Hormuz to show some guts. Those are the kind of comments that have been coming in from President Donald Trump. And in the latest, this is a warning he's sending out to NATO, says NATO faces a very bad future if the allies fail to help open the Strait of Hormuz. Now, 1/5 of crude oil, remember, passes through this very choke point, viewers, is why President Donald Trump possibly also facing the pressure. Now, there's a lot of reliance on Russian oil. There's a big message that's coming from Russia as well, anticipating that the crude oil prices could cross $150 per barrel, so on and so forth. A lot of developments trickling in. Haim is taking us through more from our newsroom.
All right, so as we know that Trump 2.0, it's been marked by sharp attacks on NATO members. Earlier, it was calls for them to increase their defense spending. Now, Trump is saying that NATO faces a bad future if they fail to help ease the pressure that we're seeing as a result of the choking of the Strait of Hormuz. So the rhetoric continues. That being said, we also have to remember, viewers, that at the moment, even in the region, there are allies who've been forced into this war and they have no say, at least for now, in this. And he's now urging NATO members to step up as well.
Well, that's right. In fact, there's a lot of pressure on the US president to create a secure passage in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is not ready to come to the terms or let the vessels of United States, Israel, and the allied countries pass through the Hormuz, and it has become really tough for the U.S. president to get solution to this problem. So now, since day before yesterday, he has been urging UK, France, and the other NATO countries to step in to send their navies to the Strait of Hormuz and perhaps to get a passage secured for the vessels. The first appeal came from President Trump day before yesterday. Now this is the second appeal, not an appeal, but in a way threatening NATO that if they will not be sending their navies to the Strait of Hormuz, perhaps it will have impact on the NATO alliance. But this is all because of because of the frustration of the Trump administration, as they have not been able to secure the passage. Their vessels are stationed on both sides of the Hormuz. There is no free flow of trade. Where on the other end, India's position now is that through dialogue and diplomacy, the solution can be found. The vessels can get passed.
Right.
How India has put an effective diplomacy in place with Iran and got 2 of its vessels passing through the Hormuz.
Right, absolutely. And of course, India has always been firm that dialogue and diplomacy is the way forward. And we're also going to be bringing you all the other developments which are trickling in at the moment. It's over to you, Kritsween, in the studio.
Let's talk about more. We're learning from Iranian Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi. He says Israel's bombings of fuel depots in Tehran violate international law. He also says that residents face long-term damage to their health and well-being owing to these attacks, and Israel must be punished for its war crimes. Do remember, Iran's Revolutionary Guards have also said that they will pursue and kill Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They vowed to eliminate what they say and who they call a child-killing Netanyahu. And this is in continuation to that. Iran once again, through its foreign minister, says Israel's bombings of these fuel depots in Tehran violate international law. Aim will take us through more. She's being joined by Siddhant in the newsroom. Aim, over to you.
Right, so this is the latest that we're also getting right now. Iranian FM Araghchi saying that Israel's bombing of fuel depots in Tehran violates international law and constitutes ecocide. This is the latest that we're getting right now. Siddhant.
Well, that's right. Foreign Minister Araghchi is saying that it's a violation of the international norms, UN Charter, the way Israeli forces are targeting the oil facility in Iran. Perhaps it is also impacting the lives of civilians living in Iran because of the contamination of soil, air, etc., etc. And perhaps now this statement is coming from the Foreign Minister Araghchi, where he says that Israel must be punished for its war crimes. He also says in his post that residents face long-term damage to their health and well-being. Contamination of oil and groundwater could have generational
impacts. Now that is something that's a clarion call there, Siddhant. Generational impact is what he's talking about.
Well, that's right. And we have been seeing this hymn that how the civilians on both sides, not only in Iran but in Israel and in the other Gulf countries, are at the receiving end. They are paying the price for this war because many oil facilities have been hit, financial centers have been hit. Many offices have moved out of the GCC countries. Now, Foreign Minister Araghchi is saying that it could result in contamination of soil, groundwater, etc. So definitely a very, very concerning scenarios as far as this war is concerned, and there is no end to this. Every day there is bombarding, there is strikes being carried out by both the sides.
Right, absolutely. As Siddhant mentioned, strikes and counter-strikes continue. So does the narrative war, and this is what the Iranian foreign minister is saying, that Israel's bombing of fuel depots in Tehran violate international law and constitute ecocide. Residents face long-term damage to their health and well-being. Contamination of soil and groundwater could have generational impact, and Israel must be punished for its war crimes. So this is the latest that we are seeing for you right now. More details coming in. Let's just go across to Kritsween in the studio, who's bringing us more developments.
Thank you for that, Hemant. Siddhant, let's shift our focus to more breaking news coming in. We're going to be, viewers, in minutes from now, be picking up first set of visuals of Shivalik, the Indian vessel. It's expected to reach the Mundra port shortly with LPG supply. Shivalik, loaded with over 46,000 metric tons of LPG, is expected to reach the port any minute now. Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more details. This is going to be big relief indeed, isn't it, Pallavi? But over to you for the latest. We've been tracking this development for the last few hours on how these two Indian ships back-to-back were allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. All of this a result of diplomatic negotiations that are underway at the top level. But what are we to expect the next few minutes?
So, Christine, there are two ships, essentially, the Shivalik and the Nanda Devi. The government has officially now confirmed has passed and crossed through the Strait of Hormuz with a large consignment of LPG, which should ease the situation further as far as the country's supply is concerned. But more specifically, the first good news is that anytime now the Shivalik is likely to reach the Mundra port, Christine, with a huge supply of LPG gas. What the government has been saying consistently is that there have been backroom negotiations. India has been engaging with all the countries. We've also been reporting that our foreign minister has been in touch with his counterpart in Iran. And we've taken advantage of the good and equidistant good relationship that we enjoy with all the countries. Unlike crude oil, LPG has always been an area of concern. The government has been given repeated reassurances, Christine, don't worry. There's only going to be regularization and rationalization because we want to ensure that people don't hoard up, they don't go into panic booking. And that is the kind of plea which has been coming in from the government. Now with this additional supply coming in from Shivalik, anytime now to be followed up by Nanda Devi a little later, we can expect more relief for our consumers, but more importantly for the commercial sector as well.
All right, so of course, as we are getting the information right now, it's the Shivalik which is set to reach the Mundra port in a short while from now. Very soon, we are going to see visuals of that as well. It's carrying, remember viewers, 46,000 metric tons of LPG. Along with the Nanda Devi, that takes the number to 92,000 metric tons.
That's right. It's a huge diplomatic win for India, and here we have two options. The world has two options for this Hormuz crisis. One option is to be sending the navies and engaging militarily with the Iranian forces and getting the secured passage in the Hormuz. And the other is through dialogue and diplomacy, perhaps which has been India's position from the very beginning. In fact, today, EMS Jaishankar spoke to Financial Times and he said that through dialogue and diplomacy, India has achieved results, and two of the oil tankers have sailed through the Strait of Hormuz and will be reaching India soon. So today we have Shivalik reaching Mundra port, and tomorrow the Nanda Devi, the other vessel, will be reaching Kandla port. So India has once again shown the world the other way, the way where they will, the better way through dialogue and diplomacy, how a passage can be secured. And perhaps that's the message which India is sending out to the world, because there is a lot of pressure on these countries to be sending their navies. France, Italy, Australia, Germany, UK, they all have been asked by United States to be sending their navies. But India says that through dialogue and diplomacy, through effective diplomacy, to be directly speaking to the Iranians, you can get it done.
Right. Of course, Siddhant, a big diplomatic win for India, but as we know, viewers, and what we're seeing in West Asia, that gives us a very clear clue that the diplomacy playing field is not equal for everyone. Remember, it was in the middle of the negotiations that this operation was launched by the United States and Israel, and that is why we're seeing the kind of disruptions that we've seen in the Strait of Hormuz as a result of this war. There are more developments coming in. Kritsween, over to you.
Shifting our focus to the latest coming in from UAE, a drone incident in the vicinity of Dubai International Airport affected one of the fuel tanks. Dubai civil defense teams are currently working to bring the fire under control. No injuries have been reported so far, but Dubai Civil Aviation Authorities also announced the temporary suspension of flights at the Dubai International Airport as a precautionary measure to ensure the safety of all passengers and staff. Travelers are advised to contact their respective airlines for the latest updates regarding their flights in Dubai. Airport has also announced the diversion of some flights from Dubai International Airport to the Al Maktoum International Airport. I do want to bring in Arunima, who joins us live from Dubai. Good morning, Arunima. Hope you're doing well. Give us a sense of the latest. We're hearing that as a result of this drone strike, of oil tanker in the airport vicinity was seen up in flames. Tell us a little bit about the incident, when it took place, and what the authorities, or how the authorities rather, are coping with the situation.
So the time currently in Dubai is 15 past 7. Around 3:30, 3:45 is when we had got the first alert that there seems to be an incident around the airport. And then just after 4 a.m., Dubai media authorities confirmed to us that yes, indeed, there has been an incident of fire. The civil defense authorities were at work. There was no injuries. But post that, over the last 45 minutes to an hour or so, there are more confirmations coming in by way of the impact that this incident has had. So the major impact, it seems, is being felt by the Dubai airport. There has been confirmation now that a number of flights have been now diverted. These flights are being diverted from the Dubai airport to the next door airports here. And what the authorities are confirming is that flights have been moved to the Al Maktoum International Airport. Some flights, also the approach road towards the Dubai airport, the tunnel road. Drivers have been advised to take an alternative road because that tunnel road has been shut as well. And there is the Al Garhoud Bridge, which leads to the Casablanca Street. That too is temporarily closed. Again, one of the major arterial roads as far as traffic is concerned, and motorists have been advised to take alternative routes. So looks like this incident that has happened around the Dubai airport has impacted city traffic movement and also air traffic movement as well. Passengers have been advised to check with their airline operators before proceeding towards the airport. And as soon as this incident happened, the flight radar showed that there were a number of aircraft which were supposed to approach the Dubai airport. They were holding. And then this confirmation came that many of them have been diverted and air traffic has been impacted.
All right. Well, Arnima, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. We'll, of course, continue to track all the developments on that front closely with you there as well. And with that, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. News and updates to continue on the other side. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion, while Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगलियां चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी पर कोई सवाल न खड़ा करे।
With that, we go into a very short break. News and updates and everything that you want to know about these 5-state electoral battle, all of it here on CNN News 18. Stay tuned. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion, while Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगली चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है।
Welcome back. We shift our focus to breaking news coming in from Odisha. 10 patients have lost their life in a major fire at the SCB Medical College Hospital in Odisha's Cuttack. We're also learning at least 11 hospital staff members have suffered burn injuries after this fire broke out at the trauma care ICU of the SCB Medical College and Hospital this morning. Multiple fire engines are currently engaged in rescue operations. The Chief Minister has also rushed to the incident site, is what we're learning. We have a brief comment from the CM as well. Listen in.
का जो ट्रॉमा केयर सेंटर है वहाँ संभवतः विद्युत शॉर्ट सर्किट के लिए एक अग्निकांड हुआ। 23 लोगों का इसी फर्स्ट फ्लोर में वो थे। जो अग्निकांड हुआ इसी टाइम में उसमें से 7 लोगों का अग्निकांड के वजह से उनका मौत हुआ और उनको शिफ्ट किया गया और शिफ्ट करने के बाद और 3 लोगों का भी मौत हुआ। आदमी के तरफ से या किसी तरफ से कैसे हुआ, अगर रिपोर्ट आने के बाद पता चलेगा तो निश्चित रूप से उनके ऊपर भी दृढ़ कार्यान्वयन लिया जाएगा।
Navesh Mohanty joins us with more details from right outside the hospital. Navesh, 10 patients have lost their life. 10 लोगों की मौत हो गई है इस हादसे में। और क्या जानकारी दे सकते हैं? और सबसे बड़ा सवाल, आग की वजह का कुछ पता चला अभी तक?
देखिए, आग की वजह का अभी तक कुछ पता नहीं चल पा रहा है। जैसे सीएम अभी आए थे थोड़ी देर पहले, उन्होंने जो बयान जारी किया है, जो उनके साथ जो बातचीत हो रहा था, उन्होंने इस बात की पुष्टि की है। ये अंदेशा इस बात का है शायद शॉर्ट सर्किट इसकी वजह हो सकती है, मगर वो तो इंक्वायरी के बाद, तफ्तीश के बाद ये पता चल पाएगा। इस घटना की वजह क्या है, उससे बड़ी बात यह है कि जो इलेक्ट्रिकल वायर्स थे उनको देखा ही नहीं जा रहा था। जो भी जिस हालात में अभी है, हमें थोड़ी देर पहले जो ट्रॉमा कैजुअलिटी जहाँ पे हादसा हुआ उसके पीछे गए थे, जो बिल्डिंग के पीछे जिस तरह से बहुत बड़े बड़े जो इलेक्ट्रिकल केबल्स थे वो ज़मीन पे ऐसे ही बिखरे पड़े थे। इस वजह से ये इसका अनुमान किया जा रहा है शायद शॉर्ट सर्किट वहीं से हुआ होगा। फिलहाल अभी इस हादसे की जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी की अभी जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी शुरू हो गई है। सीएम ने इस बात की पुष्टि की है, जिसके लिए आगे ये होगा कि हाईकोर्ट का एक रिटायर्ड या फिर सिटिंग जस्टिस उनके निगरानी में पूरा इंक्वायरी होगा। इंक्वायरी रिपोर्ट आने के बाद पता चल पाएगा कि कैसे हुआ यह हादसा और हादसे का वजह क्या था, कौन कौन इसके पीछे जिम्मेदार थे। अभी हम पोस्टमार्टम जहां हो रहा है वहां खड़े हैं और 10 लोगों की पोस्टमार्टम के बाद उनको अपने अपने घरों में पहुंचाने के लिए 10 एम्बुलेंस भी अभी खड़ी है। 10 लोगों की जान तो गई है, मगर सबसे बड़ी बात है अभी भी 5
है
जो मरीज थे उनकी हालत बहुत।
हम आपके पास आते रहेंगे और जानकारी के लिए। थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग अस with all the details that have trickled in so far. We also heard the Chief Minister's comments in the latest. We head into a quick break on that note. We'll be right back with more on the other side. Keep watching.
Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from Opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion, while Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगलियां चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी पर कोई सवाल न खड़ा करे।
With that, we go into a very short break. News and updates and everything that you want to know about these 5-state electoral battle. All of it here on CNN News 18. Stay tuned. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion, while Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and impartial elections.
ये जो जुगलबंदी चल रही है चुनाव आयोग की भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ, ये पूरा देश देख रहा है। लेकिन ये कितनी ही जुगलबंदी कर लें, कुछ भी कर लें, आसाम के लोग मन बना चुके हैं कि वो इस बार परिवर्तन के लिए वोट कर रहे हैं। कांग्रेस पार्टी पहली पार्टी है जिसने अपनी बहुत सीटें घोषित कर दी हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी अभी नहीं कर पाई है, तो हम समय से भी पहले अपनी लिस्ट डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं।
चुनाव आयोग ये भी भरोसा दिलाए कि निष्पक्ष चुनाव होगा और कहीं भी किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी उंगलियां चुनाव आयोग पे उठी है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी पर कोई सवाल न खड़ा करे।
With that, we go into a very short break. News and updates and everything that you want to know about these 5-state electoral battle. All of it here on CNN News 18. Stay tuned. Breaking news now. Now, conspiracy theories attacking the Election Commission, all of that has already begun, this time from opposition India bloc, particularly the Congress and the Samajwadi Party. Now we are learning Congress has accused BJP and the Election Commission of collusion, while Akhilesh Yadav has urged the Election Commission to ensure free, fair and Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Heem Korsaro and here's the latest that we're tracking for you right now. Iranian drone strike sparks massive fire near Dubai.